Hi everyone, it's me, Dirty Boy Soup, but my actual name is Owen, so please address me as that, because it would be weird if you referred to me personally as Dirty Boy Soup. Now, when I first watched the Cinderella's Castle digital ticket in August 2024, I was unimpressed for the most part with the music. But at least for me, that is the case with a lot of what the amazing and beautiful Jeff Blim writes, so I thought to myself, trust the process, wait until the YouTube release and you'll probably change your opinions. That's what I did for Nerdy Prudes Must Die, Nightmare Time, and Black Friday, and now there's not a single song I don't like on any of those albums, genuinely. So I did it again. I rewatched Cinderella's Castle in April. And I still didn't like a whole lot of the songs. So, silly me, I chalked it up to the amazing and beautiful Jeff Blim having an off day when he wrote them. The plot thickens, just wait. I rewatched the show again on Christmas Eve for whatever reason, and I finally saw the light. These songs are all bangers, guys, I must rank them. Quick little disclaimer before I start. Firstly, the amazing and beautiful Jeff Blim. Please don't think I'm being sarcastic when I call him that. I'm going to be criticising him a little in this video, both vocally and from a composing perspective, so I want it to be known that no one loves this man like I do. There is nothing he could do that I would not defend him in, and I would offer up my firstborn as a sacrifice just to have a conversation with this majestic man. So, I will be using the epithet amazing and beautiful, not only because it's true, but also as a reminder of my thoughts on him as I talk about these songs. Second, when I criticise these songs, it's important to me that you all know that it's coming from a place of love. I've been a fan of Starkid for about 6 years now, and I love analysing their new work. I genuinely don't think they could ever come out with something I truly dislike. Spot 13 is Watch Reprise. The reason I've ranked this one so low is mostly because of the length. It's very short, and I think more could have been done with it. It had a lot of potential to maybe be its own thing separate from a reprise. However, the energy in this song is really strong, which is a testament to Angela, Mariah, and Lauren's acting. That's really all I have to say on this song, to be honest. 12 is Ash to Ash Reprise. I've ranked this one as low as it is because I think there's some clunky lyricism here and there. I think some of the lines don't really fit into the rhythm. It's another short one too. I think the length is justified this time, but it doesn't leave me much to comment on. The song is smack dab in the sweet spot of Bryce Charles' range. She just sounds beautiful here. Her acting also makes it so impactful. I think the song in itself wouldn't really grab my attention, but she really carries the main focus of it. Spot 11 is Castle on a Hill Reprise. I put the 3 reprises at the bottom just because the originals are all better, in my opinion. This song has what I like to call Jeff Blim mixed belt syndrome. This is an issue I know a lot of other people have, although most people refer to it as his falsetto. The register he's singing in is not actually falsetto, his falsetto is actually very soft on the ears. See The End of America is great again from the guy who didn't like musicals.
No answers to be found. No answers to be found.
It's his mix that he tends to push too far out of his range that makes for that strained sound a lot of us aren't very fond of. But it's less egregious here than in the original song, so that's another thing I'm going to wait to talk about in depth. This song gets bonus points for how good Jeff Blim looks in eyeliner. Spot 10 is Ever After. Honestly, I find that this song loses my attention quite easily. Blocking wise, it's very simple and has minimal movement, which I think in theory is fine as long as the song itself is diverse and thought-provoking enough to keep the audience engaged. Here though, I think the lyrics are just finding a lot of ways to say the exact same thing. While yes, Ella's character does go on a bit of a journey through the song, I also think she ends in a very similar place to where she started, which shouldn't be the goal for musical theatre songs. Think of other musical theatre songs in which the singer reflects on their actions and/or philosophy. Epiphany from Sweeney Todd, No More from Into the Woods, Man Up from the Book of Mormon, Hurricane from Hamilton, If I Believed from Twisted, hell even Monster from Epic the Musical. The characters in question all end with a definitive decision about how they will conduct themselves moving forward. Ella, however, doesn't. And this makes a massive difference in the necessity of the song. One of Cinderella's Castle's biggest musical flaws is that the songs rarely drive the plot forwards. Ever After and the next song coming up on the list are the biggest offenders in my opinion. The harmonies are also kind of generic and predictable for a Jeff Blim song, especially if you know his habits composing wise, but that's all I really have to say on that point. On the other hand though, Bryce's performance is insane! Every time this godly woman opens her mouth, whether it's to sing, act, or both, she manages to call me talentless in 50 different ways and I love it! While it ultimately goes nowhere, I can feel her emotional journey myself and I'm able to consciously follow her through it, which is an extraordinary feat, especially through a screen. I also think that the amazing and beautiful Jeff Blim did an admirable job of weaving together the past motifs. The incorporation of Curse Crazy in particular is my favourite, while the ensemble keep it anchored by repeating the main song's chorus. 9th place is Last Forever. Again, I think this song's biggest negative is that it does little to drive the plot forwards. It feels a little like the amazing and beautiful Jeff Blim wrote the song simply because of the obligatory beautiful harmony song in all his musicals. Not that I'm complaining about that, though. I also think that the lyrics are a little iffy in the beginning. Ella's whole spool about painting a picture in her mind doesn't really connect with me here. In fact, I think it's done a lot better in Ever After, where it has a lot more thematic relevance. While I get what the amazing and beautiful Jeff Blim was going for here, I think he just about fell short. All that aside, this song sounds gorgeous. It's so full of whimsy and joy, and you just feel so much bittersweet happiness for Ella because she's finally experienced happiness and camaraderie for the first time in years. And if you're rewatching, then it's even worse because you know exactly what's in store for her. Ella's relationship with Lucy and Justine is very accurate to real-life teenage girls, and I think showing that playfulness and those moments of immaturity here is really important to drive home just how terrible the stepmother is. It's easy to look at the actors and see grown adults because that's what they are, but in reality, I'm sure Ella and her friends are in their early 20s at the oldest, making it all so much more despicable and heart-wrenching. It also helps humanise the characters more, as it's harder to relate and feel empathy for old-timey characters who speak in different patterns to us. Needless to say, the harmonies are also beautiful. Something I love about the amazing and beautiful Jeff Blim's harmony writing is that he doesn't tend to go with the thirds apart formula that a lot of modern Western composers lean towards, instead being much more creative and giving us some beautiful dissonance. Just listen to this line. The stars are all in a line. Complete eargasm. I also noticed that he seems to have distributed the harmonies not just by giving one person the middle, one person the low, and one person the top note throughout, but instead all the girls switch around based on what suits their own voices. For example, Lauren Lopez is largely on the highest note throughout as she projects best in her head voice. However, for a few bars near the end, Mariah is actually singing the high part when she was mostly singing the lowest harmony. This is because the part called for some more vocal agility and a belt, two things Mariah really excels in. This attention to detail from either the amazing and beautiful Jeff Blim or maybe Matt Dahan, who was the music director for Cinderella's Castle, really elevated the piece. 8th is Trappings of Starlight. I think this song was almost a masterpiece. I'm not really sure what tone the amazing and beautiful Jeff Blim was going for here, but it was a little muddled. Maybe I'm just not getting it, but especially after Thaddeus' main verse where Ella comes in with the "my love will be fierce," etc. It seems like a pretty dramatic shift in her emotion, which I know I would struggle with personally as an actor. This also might just be me being dense again, but I'm not sure what the actual trappings of Starlight are referring to metaphorically in this song. Most of the other lyrics have a coherent theme and flow, but this specific line, and the title line too, sticks out to me as a little cliche. I also think that this song could have built up to more. The end is very subdued, which I'm not completely opposed to, but I would have liked it to come to a higher peak before that. Also, this is completely nitpicky, but why didn't they have Joey Richter sing up the octave for this line? My gift seems small, but I give it all. You can see he's trying really hard to keep the character voice, but it's so low in his register while Crumb's voice is in his falsetto. I think it would have sat much better if he'd done it up the octave in my opinion. On to the positives. Man, is Bryce a powerhouse here. From the beginning all the way to her insane riffing during the final chorus. Kurt Megger is also close to stealing the spotlight here with the one solo we get from him in this whole show. Kurt is one of my favourite Starkid singers, so I was waiting for this moment the entire 2 hours. And his part is pretty low for a tenor such as himself, but he navigates it effortlessly and sounds beautiful doing it. I'm a very big fan of the harmonies here, particularly that last "love will be fierce." I think we could have had more of those harmonies. From a storytelling perspective, I do really like that they acknowledged the Griswold girls' deaths. It would have been really easy to leave it and have Ella be fine and happy to be queen, but I'm so happy that they acknowledged how grief doesn't go away that easily, and it was a great subversion from other stories in a similar genre where the protagonists will immediately forget about their best friends or their relatives who died during the plot. Looking at you, Stephanie Lauter. Next, in 7th place, I have Castle on a Hill. Oh my god, does this have a bad case of Jeff Blim mixed belt syndrome. In no world does a tenor need to be skrelting out a D5 casually in the first number of a show, no matter how good they sound doing it. I feel that maybe the amazing and beautiful Jeff Blim was trying to make the narrator's range gender neutral, which is a very good idea as the character really has no reason to be tied to a specific gender, but in doing so he put it out of most male voices' ranges. This range also wasn't sustainable for Jeff himself. In the pro shot, we're seeing a studio recording being played over the video, which is a first for Starkid. In Nerdy Brews Must Die, they used a mix of live and studio vocals, and before then they used exclusively live ones. I'm not sure if I like this change, but either way, in the digital ticket of the show, Jeff's performance was a little rough. He was off pitch on a lot of the trickier parts, and you can tell that it was really tiring work for him. I personally understand this as a singer myself. There are a lot of songs that I could easily sing in a studio environment, but struggle with on stage due to the external factors. I am no stranger to songs being out of my range. However, I don't write them myself. This could have been easily avoidable by lowering the song's key by a step or two. That being said, the narrator is right up there with the most attractive Jeff Blim roles, along with Aladdin, the father from Trail to Oregon, and Aragon. The energy in the song is amazing. Every time I listen to it, I get so hyped for the story. This is owed in part to Lauren Lopez's amazing choreography. The melody is catchy as hell, and this is probably the song I find myself singing randomly the most. I feel the whole show needs more ensemble moments, especially in Act 2, as I think Starkid really excels in that department, and that's demonstrated really well here and in another song higher up on the list. 6th place goes to Watch. This is a song I had originally ranked way lower on my list in 10th place, but after re-listening a few times I've seen the light and realised how good it really is. My only issues with it are that A, the verse at the start is a bit awkward and the lyrics don't make much sense, and B, this song was done so dirty in the Pro Shop version. The album version is so much better, with so many amazing harmonies were added, and it elevates the song so much in my opinion. Just listen to this segment. Just watch. In the pro shot, this is mostly done as a solo by Angela. Speaking of, this song is right in the sweet spot of Angela Giarratana's range, and I'm loving it so much. She acts amazingly in the role of the stepmother, and I honestly can't see any other Starkid pulling off the role to her standard. Mariah is also a standout here. I find myself singing her all the time. It's a very inappropriate earworm out of context, but that won't stop me when it sounds that good. This was also the part of the story that shocked me the most on my first watch. I absolutely expected the magic to somehow save Ella before her legs were cut off, but the subversion completely threw me and made me want to see what happened next. 5th place goes to Facade. When I first watched Cinderella's Castle, this was my favourite song. It's catchy and it's a fun premise, but I do have a few issues with it on rewatch. I'm not the biggest fan of the bridge. The lyrics don't make any sense, which I know is kind of the point, but for some reason I can't seem to get behind it. Call me unwhimsical. I also think that Putris and Ransilda could have been utilised more. They both only have 2 solo lines in the song, and while I do think it should be predominantly a stepmother song, I think they should get more of a moment, if that makes sense. This is also another song nerfed by the pro shot. It has so much more energy on the album in my opinion. On to the positives, I love the way this song is written from a composing standpoint. Music nerd rant incoming. If you don't want to hear it, then skip to the time on the screen. So the key of Facade is E major, meaning the tonic note is, you guessed it, E. However, almost every time the trolls would be singing this note, most notably, I look good in this, it is sung sharp. The amazing and beautiful Jeff Blim essentially made a hypothetical key here, but by singing the tonic note sharp, aka just barely off from what's considered normal, it's an outstanding way to portray how the trolls are trying to recreate being a human but something isn't quite right. Now I might be reading into that way too much, and maybe he just did it because it sounded cool, but it's things like this which makes you realise the amazing and beautiful Jeff Blim deserves his epithet. I also love the energy Angela, Mariah and Lauren bring to this song. You can tell how much fun they're genuinely having, and this feels like a song everyone would want to sing with their friends. From a story standpoint, this song also gives us a much needed reprieve from the highly emotional scenes before and after it. 4th spot is Step on Your Grave. I was shocked to look at other rankings and see this song consistently near the bottom. It is absolutely amazing. That being said, I have 1 or 2 minor issues with it, and when I say minor, I mean the most nitpicky things you could ever imagine. Firstly, when Ella says, I know I might need a lawyer, 'cause I've been forced to break a few legs. This doesn't make any sense. You haven't gotten any revenge yet, but you're talking about it in the past tense. Whose legs has she metaphorically broken before we meet her in the story? Secondly, the Lord give me a reason not to smite these demons line.
Lord, give me a reason not to smite these demons.
It goes way too fast at the start there. There's plenty of extra space to spread out those first few words. I think it should have been used for understanding's sake. And lastly, this is so tiny, but this line.
With my father's sword and legion.
I think it would have been more powerful if Bryce sang it from a more belty place, which we know she's more than capable of, instead of the almost entirely head mix she sings it in for both the pro short and the album. That is all the negative things I have to say about this song. I love the intro, specifically that chromaticism and the guitar chords throughout.
Not before they do.
I think it makes it really funky. I love how the desperation of Ella's character is really written into the bridge through the pace and the lyrics and the melody. It's really impressive from Jeff Lynne. This is something that Sondheim always strove to do in his music. I love the bar with an extra beat before the bridge.
I wanna walk all over, lose composure, step on stepmother's godforsaken grave.
It really jars you and keeps your energy high. And yet all this is unimportant when in comparison to Bryce Charles' amazing performance. The emotions Ella portrays in the song resonate so strongly with me. The anger at your life being derailed for the worse through no fault of your own while the person responsible is never held accountable is something I'm sure a lot of people share. However, it's almost never seen portrayed in media such as this. From the second chorus onwards, I genuinely can't look away from the screen. Bryce's performance is so raw and layered while still managing to sound amazing and pitch perfect. She really is a powerhouse of a performer. Third place is Ash to Ash. Now we're in the top 3, we're into the songs where I'm genuinely struggling to come up with something negative to say about them. All I can think of is that I think this line could have had some fine-tuning.
The last bit of light in eternal dark. Where all things return and all things will start.
In terms of emphasis and rhythm. I guess I'm also not a fan of this interaction.
Wisely? Hardly.
Again, just one of those things that doesn't really make much sense to me, but maybe I'm just being dense. The only other thing I can think of, which is barely a negative, is that I would have liked the harmonies to be more complex for an amazing, beautiful Jeff Lynne song, especially a grand Act 1 closer like this. But they still sound lovely either way, so I'm not too fussed about it. On to the positives. Man, this song is a banger! Starting from right at the beginning, I love how ominous the synth bass is through the first verse. It really sets the tone, and it's very in line with the Fairy Queen's character. Kim's voice is immediately stunning. I don't think there could have been a better casting choice voice-wise for an ethereal and beautiful yet authoritative and unforgiving being. Her stage presence is immaculate and she sings this really hard song completely effortlessly. I love the small break for some dialogue and this exchange.
At the end of time, that is all that remains, save one flickering mote.
What is that? That is the last bit of light in this eternal dark.
Never fails to give me chills. I love how flawlessly the tension rises once the ensemble comes in and the castle on a hill motif being sung amongst them. While I'm not sure how it's thematically relevant, it sure sounds good. Kim Whalen once again shows us how unparalleled her belt is through this riff.
Cinderella, just to radiate and glow. Oh, I shall grant thee starlight.
I mean, it's just so easy for her. I also love the ending with the tension falling naturally and the narrator singing his part before we get left on almost a cliffhanger. I love the character of the Fairy Queen. I think the Lang brothers have such a talent for writing non-human beings, and it shows here with how subversive she is, especially when in comparison to the original fairy tale. Cursed Crazy is in second place. Oh my god, do I go feral every time I hear this song. This is a rare, amazing and beautiful Jeff Lynne moment where I have almost no issues with any of the lyrics. Except for... and they all fit perfectly into the meter and rhythm. The melody is so catchy and this song is right in the perfect spot for both the amazing and beautiful Jeff Lynne and Bryce Charles' voices without having to alter the melody for either of them. This is also the only song in the show that I would class as truly an ensemble piece, with almost everyone chiming in. It all coalesces into such a powerful moment. Every soloist completely kills it both acting and voice-wise. This is just another song that really plays into everyone's individual vocal strengths. The harmonies are honestly some of the amazing and beautiful Jeff Lynne's best work, in my opinion. Just listen to these lines.
Starkid manic, lock her away. Weird and eccentric, completely estranged. Verging on panic, so damn dramatic, completely insane.
They all have the exact same melody, but each one has slightly different harmonies surrounding it. I love it. I'd also like to single out the line, "Bedlam is all that you've got when you've been backstabbed lately." I just think that it was such a cool reference and one that was clearly really well thought out. I also love the subversion in Ella's little solo moment here.
Shell of my former self. Oh, you are. It seems lately
She sings the melody almost exactly the same, but that top note is flat, which really draws out her misery and difference to the other townsfolk. Okay, first place is Neon. So I may be a little biased here. James Talbot might be one of the most attractive men I've ever seen, but I swear I have more than that to back it up. Jesus Christ, where do I even start? I love the harmonies, especially that dissonance on the mms. It's so infectious. I've been trying to figure out why I love this moment so much. But I'm drawing a blank theory-wise, so if someone in the comments knows why this is so addicting, please let me know. This moment.
Radiate my life. Burn me with your fire. Spend my space and time.
Is written so masterfully because the amazing and beautiful Jeff Blim has opted to have them sing in perfect fifths. If there are any other music nerds here, you'll know that for a long time classical musicians didn't like to use fifths in their music due to them blending too well together and sounding almost like one giant note instead of two working together in harmony. Basically, the notes sound too good together, and that is exactly what is meant to be conveyed here. Ella is harmonizing with the prince in this way to try and convey how perfect for him she is, and the prince falls for it hook, line, and sinker. It's almost too perfect, but he's not smart enough to pick that up. Instrumental-wise, I'd like to single out this section. Just listen to those drums.
If I see it, can I touch it? If I feel it, will I love it?
I also love these lyrics where the prince sings,
Let me be your mother.
Radiate my life.
on paper, this seems like the generically romantic things that the two were singing before, but it actually foreshadows his death perfectly. The prince is blinded by his shallowness and horniness and refuses to renounce this, ultimately leading to his death and Ella's victory. This song could have so easily just been the prince being gross again, which I do find funny in the show, but it gets to a point, you know? Here, I think we get to see just why he has such a huge ego. He genuinely is very charismatic and alluring when he tries to be, but I think after a certain point, he stopped believing he had to try. This song, maybe unintentionally, adds some depth to the prince's character, which honestly makes him so much more interesting to me. Plot-wise, this song admittedly doesn't add much, but that is true of a lot of songs on this list. Again, in defense of this, Act 2 openers are notorious for being slightly less plot relevant, as they're meant to ease the audience back into the story after an intermission, instead of blasting them with important information that they're not engrossed enough to register yet. And lastly, I'm going to round off the review with this riff.
No sense in turning you, no sense in turning you on.
You're welcome! If you enjoyed this video, please let me know what you'd like to see from me next. I've been thinking of making one where I go through and look at every Starkid's voice individually and analyse their strengths and weaknesses, so please leave a comment if you'd be interested in seeing that. If you disagree with any of the points I made in this video, also please comment. I'd love to have a respectful debate, and I'm open to my opinions being changed. Thank you so much for watching.